Happy Comic Book Day and welcome back, all you four-color comic book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, HQ for all things comic book connected. We are John and Charlie Rivera, the co-founders of US Comics. Charlie, happy Comic Book Day.
Happy Comic Book Day to you and to everyone listening and watching today. As always, we are brought to you by Bad Mary Band and Sergeant Finesse Gaming. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like and or follow button and hit that comment section, or else you're going to get knocked the fuck out.
And he is not even kidding a little bit about that. So as Charlie just yelled in your face about, we are all amped up, we're geeked up, we feel like we can take on the world because, albeit missing a certain element that we have grown very accustomed to seeing in these type of installations, Creed III has indeed dropped, and we have drank it in like so much Kool-Aid. Now granted, there is no Rocky-related item, no Rocky-related flick, no Rocky-related anything that is not worth talking about without the literal biggest Rocky fan that I know. And I don't mean that he's like really into Rocky more than anybody else. I mean the biggest, coming in at a whopping 7'6", none other than Rocky Balboa expert Casey motherfucking Manning. Yes.
What's up, boy?
Bro,
He
Casey
might
just
love Rocky, but this
in.
motherfucker is sized like Drago.
Casey comes in with the literal cosplay. When we want to talk about Rocky, he's like, oh yeah, shit, I got my whole outfit is already picked out. Casey, thank you for joining us, brother. You knew the second that we were going to talk about fucking Creed III, we were going to have Casey Manning in the house.
I don't even think you asked me. I just texted you, and I said, so we're doing this, right? And you were like,
You
well,
just
yeah,
logged
obviously.
in.
So I think this is a thing now. So 3 years from now when we get like Creed IV, just pencil me in. I'll be here.
Done and done.
Hopefully, it'll be for the Rocky prequel series that he's gonna have to literally keep punching to make happen. But
right.
Yeah, so in a very, very rare happening, we actually all drank in this flick, Creed III, separately but together. Charlie and I saw it almost at the same time, but in like different states, bodies of water separating us. Whereas Casey's not messing around. He saw it the literal moment that it was available for viewing, without having a red carpet invitation. So, look, I think there's really only one way to approach this. Charlie, what's our approach? Kind of like
Let's start off spoiler
what
free.
we're gonna talk about.
Let's start off spoiler free, and then if
give
we
the folks a moment.
If we must go to spoiler, I will reset our alarms. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we are condition yellow. No spoilers. We're gonna go spoiler free, but be aware, we might fuck up. We might up, and you never know when the spoiler warning will come
We
first.
often do.
It's true. I want to throw out an elephant in the room, if that's okay, John.
Good luck throwing out an elephant.
One thing that I think must be addressed immediately is Sly is not. This is not a spoiler because it's been talked about ad nauseum. I do think the first thing I did when I sat down was remind myself, okay, there's no fucking Stallone because of a bunch of non-movie shit. One could make an argument that Creed II kind of gave a perfect where Rocky could be. Right out the gate, I'd argue. I don't think someone who's called Unc would just be like, I'm not even going to call this motherfucker. I do appreciate the road they went down considering that huge absence But
Well, but here's the thing that you're I think you're jumping the gun a little bit. So let's we brought our guest in for a reason. So Casey, right off the bat, I think we all know with your affection for the character, for the actor, for the
sweater,
for the institution, for the fashion icon that is Rocky Balboa, sitting down, there's no way, and I could be wrong. So correct me if I'm wrong. Or at least it must have been very difficult, in particular for you, and your level of fandom, to divorce yourself from that idea of there's no Rocky. No Rocky. I'm not going to see Rocky. So when you sat down, how did you approach kind of that, even before anything else?
I don't think it would have bothered me as much if there wasn't so much shit going on in the background. If he wasn't feuding with Winkler and all the producers and the whole family, I don't think this would hurt as much, because I remember the viral video went out after he finished his last day of shooting the second Creed. They're all out at like a bonfire in like the middle of the fucking desert somewhere, and I remember he literally says to Michael B. Jordan, he goes, "Hey man, like this is yours now. This is yours." So I think he was prepared to let go and let him take it where he wanted to take it. I don't think he had an issue with it. I think he still wanted to have some kind of say in what was going to happen, because it still is technically his baby. But then all this stuff happened with Winkler, and he will not allow him to take any of the rights of his character, which pisses him off, and I don't blame him.
Of course,
I think there were rumors that there was some Drago spinoff happening. And Sly literally, I remember, tweeted out to his friend, Dolph Lundgren, like, bro, WTF, what is going on? And Dolph had to come back and say, well, dude, I had no idea what the hell was going on. Nothing has been signed. So I feel like Sly feels like he's getting raked over the coals here. And that has put a really bad taste in my mouth. And then the execution in the film is really what bothered me, because, and we're going to try to do this as spoiler free as I possibly can.
Right. We may get away from that pretty quickly, because I have some plot issues.
Yeah,
I got
me
the
too.
alarm ready.
Specifically.
It was almost like he didn't fucking exist. What are we doing? There were, and follow me on Letterboxd, Casey Manning on Letterboxd. I wrote a whole review about this. Okay,
we'll post the link.
Yeah, exactly. So there are, I think, 2 mentions of his name. I think there's 2. One of them is by Jonathan Major's character, and he doesn't even refer to him by name. He's like, remember when your dad gave the underdog a shot? Like, okay, so that's 2. And the only likeness of him is about 15 minutes into the movie. You're walking through the gym, and in the back corner, you can see we all know, like, the promo shot of Rocky 3, like the main poster of him, like, just on every drug imaginable and just no body fat.
Allegedly.
And it's fucking awesome. Okay?
Just filled with
It's
HGH.
in the background, but all you can see are, like, his gold belt and none of his face or his body. And there's shots during the film that Adonis is looking at of, like, his dad, and then his dad fighting Rocky in the first movie. There's like a still, but nothing of Stallone anywhere. Now, I am not
the way it
sure.
came across to me was, and this hurt me. This hurt me because they almost played it as if the Rocky Balboa character had died. And when we get to certain points,
there's
in the
one scene where you're like, Rocky, there's no version of this scene without Rocky that makes sense. I didn't get that vibe, thank God. But even just in terms of, again, like Casey said, his surgical removal, and I listen to a lot of interviews, and this is not something that I do very often, but kind of like red carpet type stuff, where a lot of the actors in Creed III were kind of echoing one another. So obviously there was a
a war room sit down. Like, okay, what are we gonna say about this? What are we gonna say about that? And like one of the things that was constantly being put out there was, oh yeah, we feel like the Rocky's DNA is all
DNA.
over this,
Oh my
and
god.
it runs.
I actually
through,
agree
and,
with
you
that,
know,
though.
It wouldn't be. I don't. I really don't, because this could have been. And again, I want to keep this spoiler free as long as we can, but I know I'm not going to maintain it. Without a Rocky presence, even if you don't physically see the man, to not have him referred to, like, there was one reference, and again, I hope that this isn't a spoiler, but I'm never gonna call him Donnie. Where Adonis, his mama name of Adonis, I'm gonna call him Adonis. Where he echoes.
Only Bianca's allowed to call him Donnie, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but she can hear shit anyway. She doesn't know what she's calling him. Where he echoes a training kind of like mantra that Rocky gave him. Now, I know that because I watched everything with Rocky like this. Tell me more. Taking notes. But maybe the casual viewer or even casual fan might have missed. So I'll send it right back to you, Casey. Complete that thought. I'm sorry, I cut in.
So no, I think there's two things. I think it's bad writing, because as you're watching the film, there are 2 or 3 moments when you're like, if Rocky is still alive, which I'm going to assume he is, because I don't think they cannot get away with killing him off screen. And then because if for some reason the producers and Stallone ever do say, okay, we can work together again, how are you going to bring him back from the dead? So they're not going to sit there and kill him off.
Not to romanticize a writer, because I don't know him, Ryan Coogler would not write that on paper.
Agreed. I agree.
He would not do that.
I agree.
But it wasn't exclusively a Coogler project. He had, I think, at least 2 other co-writers, which right away to me is
it was Ryan and his brother Keenan Coogler. Zach Balin was the 3rd writer.
Right.
So
right.
3. So look, I mean, 3 is it's rarely a kind of a good number for cohesive anything.
I mean, the 3
except
of them
podcasting.
do work.
Podcasting 3 is perfect.
The 3 of them actually, the 3 of them work a lot together. And not that I don't want to go more into this, I do think one thing that was very important for me in my viewing of it, I had to divorce myself from what I wanted and what was available. This wasn't a scenario that... here's what it comes down to for me. If my option was no Creed 3 or the Creed 3 I got because of the surrounding issues, if Coogler said, well, no, if Stallone can't play, I don't want to fucking play in his sandbox, I would be sadder in that universe. I am glad that this Creed 3 exists, to the point where I had to, for my own edification, and for a lot of people, it turns out, not that that's always the biggest gauge, but I had to remove that from my option menu to be able to properly watch the film I was given.
That's actually a good question, Charlie, because that would, I guess, infer that you were able to sit down, you got your little popcorn, you got a little something to wash it down, right? And you were able to sit down knowing. That's the other thing, too. There was no surprise. There was no bated breath, even though I was baited a little bit.
There was one scene.
Like, is he going to maybe
I was
show
like,
up?
he has to be here.
Is he going to show up? Is he going to make a phone call? But largely, I think we all sat down knowing we're not going to see Sly. It's just not going to happen. Not at least in person, though I thought other options might be on the table. So were you able, Charlie, to sit down and say, no, I know I am not going to see Rocky, and this is a Rocky franchise installment, even if it has the Creed 3 title on it, you were able to sit down and say, okay, sure, give me what you got, entertain me.
Yeah, I 100% was able to divorce myself. That was a big during credits conversation I had. I happen to really like the 2 of you. I really love the Rocky franchise, but also this secondary series is one I've grown to love. I was telling John, and it might be sacrilegious, but I think it's important for full disclosure to Casey. Creed is right now, it is my most watched Rocky flick. When I'm in, if I only have 2 hours, I'm throwing in Creed, and then I'm throwing in
Crazy
Rocky
talk.
3. Again, I'm not arguing good bad. I'm talking about my personal order is Creed, Rocky 3, Rocky
Well,
4,
okay, but
Rocky
there's
1,
two
2.
there's two separate conversations here.
Joker stream.
There's
What's up,
the
kid?
there's the hey, I need something for an hour and 50 minutes. I want to pop this in, and there's the I know that this is A is better than B or B is better than A, and however you guys
Yeah,
want to
that's
phrase that,
fine. Sure,
right?
of course.
So if you say like Creed is a good 2 hours, I'm gonna pop that in. That's the one I go. I have no issues with that. I wouldn't. I think it's up there because I think the first Creed is fucking great. I
First
think it
Creed
is
is
fucking great. I also
wildly
and
good.
we've had this conversation. I like Creed 2 better than John does. I don't think John
Yeah.
thinks it worked as well. I liked it, but I think going back to what we were talking about, being able to divorce yourself from the two, I think the issue I would have been if the movie had been better. I just didn't think it was very good.
Oh, I
So-
think that's why you think. Let me ask you this real quick, and because I know John hates rankings, you think
Here it comes.
Creed 3 isn't as good as Creed 2?
Oh, not even close.
You've lost your mind.
I think
You've
Creed.
lost your
if
mind.
we're taking the nine movies that have been in the Rocky franchise, the 6 Rockies and the three Creeds, I think this is only better than Rocky 5, and I don't think it's by
You've
much.
lost your mind,
if I
sir.
can interject, because
Is there
list
such thing as
making-
recency unbiased? Is that?
I just don't think it's very good.
The listing of them all is a little bit of a
It's
wasted
tough.
endeavor at this
Yeah.
at this stage. And Charlie, do me a favor, don't put up Ellis's recent comment, because he actually lists precisely the point that I want to make. So Ellis, good on you for echoing my brain. That means you're very, very smart.
John, can I interject for one second?
Of course,
'Cause I
no,
just don't want to
please.
make sure we don't miss this point. And I know that this is more of a storytelling thing and more of a plot thing, but
This is the point.
if Rocky is alive in this universe, which we believe he is, are you telling me that at no point during what Donnie is going through, he doesn't either A, make a goddamn phone call, or B, at least talk to his wife and say, I'm going through some shit. I really need to talk to Rocky, but I know he's with his family.
But you guys are talking about fan film
Or-
shit now.
No, we're not.
The
I'm talking about
reality was
storytelling.
The reality was
this is the
it
script
would have
that
been
they
so
did.
disrespectful to do a one-side. Thanks, Rock. That shit would have
But
been.
that's what I'm saying. So at least,
It's an SNL skit.
So at least say I'm not calling him for this reason. There is no scenario
I think
in
that wouldn't have
Adonis's
worked
life where he
either.
doesn't call him. Zero.
I think we're living in a fucking world where if you can't pay that off, you shouldn't tickle the balls of. Because there's another scene where Rocky there's no version of a living Rocky Balboa that would have missed a scene in the movie. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's not a boxing fucking scene.
So Charlie, let me ask you this, because I fear us going a little bit too off the off track. So you're saying their acknowledgement of him left you with the fact, like, it left you believing he's alive. He's up in Canada someplace. He's he's picking little Adrian lookalike up from the bus stop. Definitely not helping out with any math. Maybe teaching the kid secretly how to protect himself. He's like, work really good against that bully. So you're saying, okay, that's the reality that we're in, and B, not only was it not peculiar that Adonis wouldn't reach out to Rocky in some capacity, but that he wouldn't even really speak to him, in particular in those moments when he's talking to his wife, to not at least explain to her. Because to me, and I've been in multiple fucking know-it-all relationships, to me, one of the easiest scenarios where you can address that Italian elephant in the room would be for her to say, seeing her man struggling with kind of like the what to do with it all, and say, did you call Rock?
But
You
again,
know what I'm
if
saying?
you're not going to
And
pay
that
off
would have given.
Stallone-
Hold on a second. That would also have given Adonis the opportunity to further clarify for any of us dum-dums in the back that didn't put two and two together why he couldn't do that. I made this mess myself.
If
I gotta get
I
on
Oh,
top of
did-
it.
if
that's
I
really
can't-
good.
If I filmed a fucking movie, John, that you didn't want to be part of because the producers fucked you, and then in the script I'm like, and then Adonis calls John, and we explain that John got on a spaceship, and that's fucked up. That's fucked up. I've seen
Why is
trailers
it fucked up?
because it's disrespectful. Stallone doesn't want to play. It
So
wasn't
let me
that he
ask you
wasn't
this then.
invited. It's that he
So-
doesn't
so
want to
point-
fucking play. So
Okay,
if you want to
point,
respect
counterpoint.
the Italian stallion.
I mean, but they don't, though, because they didn't utilize him in the script. But that being said, point counterpoint, Charlie, why is Stallone listed as an executive producer?
Because he has to.
He doesn't
That's
have to.
legal
He has
shit,
no.
bro.
He has no fucking rights to the property. He's handed Charlie. You know who Stallone is in the scenario?
we can't.
Hold on.
I don't work
Hold
with his
on.
lawyer.
Stallone is Siegel and Schuster.
Pretty shrewd.
How many early Superman comics did you see created by Siegel and Schuster? Dick, none. They don't owe him anything at this point. However, they did it as like a little bit of a, oh, look, see? Stallone
And did you
is
notice how
involved, so it's
early it
bullshit.
was, and he got the screen by himself?
It was the first
It was
fucking
the
credit.
first one. It was
It
weird.
was the first
Weird.
credit.
It was
Again,
weird.
We're talking about three different things. We're talking about the fucking suits, which, as the secret stash can attest, fuck the suits. Right?
We
Because
know that they're scumbags.
we can have a whole different fucking topic about what a piece of shit move it is to be able to make billions of dollars off of someone's fucking literal, like, broken sternum in Rocky IV, whatever the fuck injuries he went through. That's a totally
Charlie,
different subject. We're also
real
talking
quick,
about the
kill
fact
that-
that
kill
I
that
cannot.
Twitch comment.
I would if I could. I can't.
You can't?
I cannot. Yeah, that's why I didn't bring it up.
All right.
The second
just asking
fucking
if you
issue
could
is
kill
the
it.
reality of what
I
we
didn't
lived
put you into the
and then the
script
third
against your
one
will.
was the flick. So we can't live and fucking die on the sword of we didn't
All
get
right.
what we want. You tell me that once a
That's
week.
fair. That's fair. So let me ask you this then. Having swallowed the bitter pill of not rightfully having the Stallone, fucking the Rocky character present way more than the 0.05% that he was, we're all in agreement that should have happened. Now we're sitting
Yeah.
here. It didn't happen. Okay. So that being said, and acknowledging that Creed, the entire Creed franchise, the setup, the emotions, the play, we even heard a little Rocky music, little fanfare in those final few moments.
Oh, I want to get to that
Acknowledging-
too.
Acknowledging all that, where would you put this movie just as a straight up fight movie?
I love.
You loved it.
I
Oh, you're
love it.
crazy. Casey,
Wow.
what
I
about
loved
you?
it. I'm not fucking
And,
crazy.
and as a
Okay.
Don't do that subtle dismissal bullshit because your friend's here.
you're crazy. You're the
But
one that's
Charlie, I'm
acting
your
up because
friend
we got
too, man.
company.
I love
Yeah,
you
I
too,
know,
bro.
That's
Charlie's
why
like-
I'm trying to show off.
I'm gonna get a drink. I'm staying up late today.
Gentlemen, please, I am but one man. Please. Okay,
Say
all
who
right.
you
can't,
like
you
more,
can't
Casey.
show up.
Hold on. All right,
looking
Brothers
all
Rivera,
sexy
let
in the
me
Rocky
try.
sweater and not
try.
expect us to fight over you, bro.
I know. It stinks. You hear me? The whole house stinks. Listen. Okay. Why don't we? I'm gonna take control here. Why don't we digress a little bit? Let's talk, Charlie. You love the movie itself, the movie. Okay. So forget
I
the
did.
whole Rocky's not a part of it, even though I do think that plays a role in the execution of the film. So okay, fine. But let's just talk about the movie itself.
Let's.
The movie itself makes no sense. Okay? And not in a
Okay. It was
not
okay.
in a I realize that when you break down like Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, you're like, this might be the most absurd thing I've
Sure.
ever seen. But it works because, and I think we talked about this, Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 are almost essentially they're superhero movies. That's what they are. That's what
If
this
those
franchise.
movies opened with Rocky reading to his kid, like, and then I went to Russia, and then the whole movie plays out,
See,
you're like, Stallone's a punchy,
Charlie.
unreliable narrator. It
Why
makes
you gotta-
total sense.
Why do you gotta make poor Balboa read right away? It's like you got him
First
doing
and
his
first,
commercial
mostly he
agent.
got better. He got
Look,
better.
you
I heard
don't
him in
know.
that fucking
he
hospital.
reads the book about the ranches and the horses to Adrian while she's sitting there. He learned. He figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you
He
think she's
figured it
like,
out.
I'm just gonna wake up, just shut the fuck up, dude. Oh my
You
god. You
stuttering
read like the
prick.
back of a shampoo bottle. Shut the fuck up. I'm awake. Jesus Christ.
So okay.
Casey, finish your thought.
So we're talking about as 3 and 4 and 5 as they progress, they get mid 80s. They become like superhero movies. He ends the Cold War. They're at times light and fun, and they're ridiculous. And then it starts to take a turn with Creed, but the formula is still there. Creed 2, the formula is still there. Creed 3 takes such a diversion from where the franchise was, which is fine. But if you were going to take a diversion such as this and make it such a family heavy drama, it has to be good. And the problem was that the story didn't make any sense. The only thing about this movie that was great is my fucking man, Jonathan Majors, okay? That guy
All hail
can
Kang.
do
All hail
anything
Kang.
he wants. I feel,
He's bad,
and I
bro.
don't really want to get into it, I feel so bad that his last 2 movies, he is playing second fiddle in these, in my opinion, pretty bad movies, and he is so good
Well,
at
but here's the
everything he
thing.
does.
You know how
He
like
seems legitimate.
you know how certain people will keep friends around them just to make themselves look a little better? But like, come on, Mongoloid pack, let's go to the club. And then they're in the front like, oh, honestly, that's fucking where Jonathan Majors is in this point, because he looks that much better because of the company that he's keeping. And I'm talking about projects. Charlie, I think we've come to the point where we're going to go ahead and we'll drop a few spoilers just to better...
Did not
The
mean to
hunt
cut
for
you off.
Red
That's my bad.
October is oh no, that's good. You read my mind. So, I'm gonna let's go around the clock again. Obviously, Casey as our guest will take first crack at it. So now we are in that spoiler territory. I think we all agree to certain levels that sans Rocky Balboa, if you somehow set up this franchise without coming from the loins of the Italian Stallion, it would be a very difficult movie to do that fast. All of the hard work was done by the Rocky franchise before it. Fine, they take advantage of that. Good for them. All right, Paul. Good job, brother. But that all being said, I agree with Casey that this was kind of like a big departure. Now, granted, the time jump was significant. They put him in a particular position, which Rocky was always retiring, coming out of retirement for one reason or another. I had really no problem with that. The fact that he fashioned himself as another, I mean, Oscar De La Hoya came to mind immediately. Like these fighters, like, okay, now I'm going to step into a different role knowing the environment. Turns out fucking Adonis didn't know the environment because he was played like a fiddle. He was played like a fiddle. The biggest issue that I had in terms of like reality and plot holes and this and the other thing, they played it like, this is boxing now. Oh, here's the Showtime setup. Actually, a buddy of mine that I saw the flick with when the Showtime, when the fight setup that you see on the cable channels to get you amped up for the pay-per-views, when that played, he's like, is the movie just starting now? I'm like, no, dude, they're emulating some shit that's on TV nowadays. So they made it seem like this is boxing now. This is how it is. In what fucking universe are you going to take a not sanctioned whatsoever fighter and give him a title shot for multiple titles at the same time? That was the first time where I
Rocky
got
1,
taken in
Rocky
I said,
2,
now. No,
Rocky
Charlie, wrong.
3,
You're
Rocky
wrong already.
Balboa.
What did I just say? Turn your volume up on your earphones.
Rocky
I said
Balboa was like 2005, cocksucker.
Modern, and also that wasn't a
for a
title
belt.
fight. It
I
was
was
exhibition. He also wasn't gonna walk away with Thunder Lips fucking title either.
If he won
but
that match fair and square, he'd have been the WWF World Heavyweight
the
Champion.
second that it took me completely out of that particular narrative. Never in a million years. My mind was like, he's gonna fucking hurt him sparring. That's what's gonna elevate us to the bad guy role. Also, as well as what was happening behind those fucking closed bars where your boy's like, yeah, I'll go fucking pull a Tanya Harding and get caught for it. That must be the best fucking jail friend that anybody has ever had. But I'm gonna give it back to you, Casey.
I think.
Or
frankly,
not.
I'm sorry. Did you kick it to Casey? I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
No, Charlie, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, my point is this sudden desire for the Rocky universe to divorce itself, partially to be more realistic when we want, is a side effect of the thing you still haven't mentioned. But John, very specifically, there's an elephant in the room with the Creed series that you haven't brought up yet, so I'll let you get to it eventually. But to pretend that a Rocky movie, let alone the fucking 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, the 9th Rocky film is going to exist in a world where you can't just get a title shot is fucking insane of you. You're full of shit.
Except by your definition, this isn't a Rocky movie.
First of all, I never said that.
So
I never fucking said that. I said Rocky can't
they
be in
laid out all the little chess pieces and said this is the room in which we're gonna play.
I didn't say that suddenly Creed 3 divorced itself from Rocky. I didn't say what you guys said. I feel Rocky's presence through the film. They didn't pay me to say that like they did the actors, but he trains like fucking Rocky. He thinks like Rocky when he's able to put his head on straight.
To Ellis's point, Apollo Creed did give a nobody a shot in 1976. That's not the boxing world that they are depicting in this movie.
All right, how about this? All right, how about this?
Use the same Showtime shit.
How about this, John? If we want to talk about reality, I know you have to stretch reality. These things wouldn't happen in real life, so on and so forth. But if we want to talk about things that never, ever would have happened, in what world is Victor Drago, who thinks he deserves a title shot,
and
in what world is he getting in a spar with Adonis Creed to help him fight?
When did they
No way. I don't give this isn't the NBA. They don't just help each other. There's no chance.
But the fucking whole point of Creed 2 was that little fucking soldier boy wasn't filled with fucking malcontent. His dad directed him.
Right, but he's still a professional athlete. He's still a professional athlete.
And
you don't want to learn. You don't want to learn from the fucking same well that the kid you were supposed to fight.
Hold on, Charlie. I'm not talking about like what we would do in those scenarios. What I'm talking about is the fact that they said they had it in the dialogue that that Drago was currently ripping up the division. So they were setting up a fight for him. It didn't fucking come to fruition because of somebody that Creed put in a fucking sparring ring with the guy that he was supposed to fucking take down. There actually is real life. Was it I forget. Somebody beat somebody who was supposed to be lined up. Was it the Tyson Holyfield debacle where somebody was set up for a fight and then their warm-up fight they fucking lost? I don't remember, but there are real life kind of parallels. But Casey, I mean, again, talking about elephants in the room, we have a full circus of them. Hit us with that moment, that first moment where you're like, Rocky's supposed to be here, because this is important.
The first moment I think is probably, I think the biggest moment is we're in spoiler territory, right?
Spoiler.
Deep spoiler. Cover your ears.
Two moments. I mean, when his mom dies. What are we doing?
Him not being at Marianne's funeral. The only thing I could say is they rushed through that funeral, so that plausible deniability, because we didn't see his fucking half, brother and sister that clearly never respected his ass. Right. Scene was a scene where it was impossible for me to divorce the movie from reality. I was like, use a CG cardboard cutout of fucking Stallone holding the baby. Like, I would have called Stallone and be like, I would have had the fucking actor playing Marianne. Like, can you call Sly? Can you see if you'll, like, fucking do us a solid? Because that is such a... If I had the money and someone was like, we could add a poorly done CGI Rocky in that scene, I'd be like, please do it. I'll pay you $500.
It took me so out of it.
It sucked nuts
It
that
hurt.
was there.
It hurt.
And it was so... It was that was one of those things that even I was like, oh no! That's where I thought he might show up. I literally thought, like, this guy loves the characters that he created, and like, this might be the exception that proves the rule.
You could have had
fuck these production company.
You could have had your little moment, and again, you want to talk about
broke my little
character growth. Character growth, character arcs are the only thing that makes a story matter. It's not effects, it's not choreography. Forgive me, it's not lighting, it's not cinematography. You can back pocket all of that shit. It's better, obviously, to have them all. The best things that we end up sitting through do have them all, but you don't really need them. The most important thing in a storytelling process is an arc from A to fucking B. I'm gonna ask you both, what's Adonis's arc? Oh, and Ellis, I'm gonna get back to Ellis's point. I'm gonna say this.
I happen to love his arc.
Ellis's comment.
Take it away, Casey.
I would like for you to.
Okay,
to
I'm glad you asked this question because I think there's two major issues here. I actually want to talk about Dame's arc because I think that's
we'll do it comparatively.
I think that's what makes the movie not work. Because Dame's arc, we need to take a step back.
Do it.
The one thing that pretty much every Rocky movie has had is some kind of and I use the word villain very, very lightly here, okay?
Sure.
Villain. Apollo in the first movie, he's not a villain, but he has a purpose. He's just trying to put on a show, okay?
He's an
Rocky 2. Apollo now starts to attack Rocky a little bit because he wants to prove who he is. Rocky 3, Mr. T, Clubber Lang, he's just an angry man who wants a shot. Rocky 4, we got a communist Russian man who knows nothing but fighting. Rocky 5, Tommy Gunn, we all know about his deal. Rocky 6, Mason the Line Dixon, I mean, he's just a fighter again, wanted to put on a show.
Also, time.
So it's working. This is the first time where they really tried with the villain to give him a little bit more, and I think the issue is that his arc doesn't make sense. Okay?
How so?
He's out of jail.
Yeah.
Looking for his friend.
Shit house.
Okay.
He brought some of the jail with him.
And he's like,
fucking abs and shit.
Hey man, can you help me out? Blah 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 blah. So you're telling me this whole thing was a show just to get him a shot, and then his heel turn, wrestling term. How about that? His heel turn is so dramatic that it's ludicrous. Then all it takes was a fight. Hold on, Charlie. Then he turns so quickly back to be like, yo, man, I trust you. We fought, so we're good. But if you really break down the movie, they didn't have to fight. They didn't have to fight. All Adonis had to do was sit down and be like, Dame, BT Dubs.
Oh, bullshit.
My mom threw away the letters.
That is such.
And it's over.
That is such a looking
but
for.
That's the thing that you talk about with sitcoms, right? You sit down, you watch a sitcom, be it good, bad, or in the middle, and at the end of it, by the time the credits are rolling, you're like, well, if he just told him that the girlfriend was in the bathroom and that the plumbing is broken, then that whole episode doesn't have to happen.
Right,
That's
but they're trying to do something here.
At its most simple level, he felt like his life was stolen. He felt like he would have been. There was no room in Dame's
me? Am I the
head
one dinging
to
here,
think
guys?
that to think that Adonis
Oh, no, okay. Sorry.
wasn't a worse fighter. Like, that's why they had to fight. Because for
But they
Dan,
didn't.
What do you mean?
Donnie doesn't have to fight him. He doesn't.
Well,
and if the movie,
Except Donnie's... But let's segue that into what Donnie's...
Let me
path
ask
has
you a
been
question.
for 3
Can I ask
films.
you,
Yeah.
Charlie, can I ask you a question? Who were
may.
you rooting for in the final fight?
A little
Who
bit,
are you
Dan,
rooting
but
for?
that's not...
That's a problem!
No. I'm pod committed to Adonis.
Charlie, real quick.
I was
real quick.
rooting for Damien.
But that's
a
that's
problem.
Charlie, I want you to tell me the arc that you saw, because obviously you did see an arc there. I'm only going to say this because I do want to acknowledge Ellis is like the greatest commentator, and he echoed my thoughts before we even came to. So let me find it real quick. But I'll say this. You can't help, even not having Rocky present or spoken about. He's like a fucking fart in church.
And they removed.
But you
in the
can't
trailer, they
deny
mentioned him.
that the reason why the superhero antics that happened towards the tail end of the Rocky franchise were so forgivable, so that even there were plot holes upon plot holes, and you could see it was like deep enough you could see the people in China. Plot holes were all over the place. Sometimes acting choices were questionable. Sometimes devices
Robots showed up.
Whatever, and taken away, which was
The
problematic.
sexy
for me.
robot, though.
The thing you cannot deny is that Rocky Balboa was never not likable.
But
don't roll
that's
your
a
eyes,
different
bro. It's like with this
fucking
podcast.
character.
Some of us are fucking. Oh, hold on a second. We are talking about character though, because where Rocky Balboa is always likable, even when he fucks up, even when he needs to make a change.
So
if he can change,
frustrating.
we can change. But let me ask you this, Charlie. Do you find Adonis fucking Creed
Yes!
a likable character?
Yes!
What
because
did
that
he?
quest-
What did he learn?
Cinematically,
What
that
did
quest
Donnie
was-
learn?
Not only does he fucking learn it, they fucking show it. And I'm sick of this besmirchment of these films. I'm just kidding.
But I'm asking, tell me why. Like, what is it about Adonis that you really like?
The first movie, and it all comes from what you want out of films and what you need out of films. I have fucking 6 Rocky films to teach me those lessons. If they were just rehashing another likable guy like Stallone, the whole time I'd be like, well, you're not as good as Stallone, so fuck off. So it had to be different. It couldn't just be a palette swap. It's not Kenda Ryu.
What did you like?
Sure.
But you're
So
saying
in the
that
first-
Adonis was
sure.
likable to you.
He was,
Right?
because in the first
So
movie,
what was
and
it
again,
about him that was likable?
I'm fucking desperately trying to tell you. The first movie, what I like is he goes through this course of this fucking angry, violent little shitty kid, right? Who's saved from what probably should have been like an early and violent death with his fucking mindset. He tries desperately to prove that he was worthy of existence. His father was dead. The way that movie ends is him realizing in the in-ring fucking interview, they ask him, what would you say to your dad if you could say anything? And he very, very specifically, right on the fucking nose, says, I would have told him I knew he didn't mean to leave me. Because up until his process with Rocky, he didn't believe it. Rocky 2, and it's shown because the way that Creed 1 ends is the front of his trunk say Creed, the back says Johnson, his mother's last name. So he's able to have both, right? The second
I'm automatically take a problem with that because those trunks should have been wrapped around the other way and just had an arrow pointing down, because those type of fucking physical visual gags, you don't waste opportunities like
this
that.
motherfucker trying to work me up and then tell cock jokes. Just telling cock jokes.
So tell me, okay, so now you're like, oh, Donnie, you deserve to exist. Now Creed 2.
Creed 2 is all about imposter syndrome. It's all imposter syndrome, which is a topic that the Rocky films have done.
Like a bitch.
Like a little bitch. That drops the Johnson. Now he's fully embracing Creed. He's worthy.
Now who's making dick jokes?
He's fully embraced Creed. Again, it's seen on the fucking trunks in the film. It's not subtle storytelling, these Rocky franchisees. This last movie, it ends with the full acceptance.
Hold on. Rewind. I'm not going to let you get away with it. So, again, what is it about that second Creed movie that you're like, I like this guy? because he's fighting
even
imposter
the
syndrome?
movie starts with him winning the fucking championship, and it's not enough. And sometimes in fucking life, and Rocky has taught it to us a shit ton, sometimes in life, man, you think this thing will be the thing that finally makes me happy. And you get it, and it's fucking not enough. It's not enough because if it's done for anyone else, right, it's not fully satisfying. And Creed 2 ends with him finally going to his father's burial site and saying, like, I did it, but I didn't do it for you. I did it for me. That was the lesson of fucking Creed 2. All three of these Creed films are him trying to be a complete fucking modern man. It's about fucking masculinity in 2023 versus the fucking 80s where it was just having cool abs and knocking
Charlie,
out
it's so
fucking
funny.
Russians.
It's so funny. For the most part, I agree with you here. I really do agree with you about the first two films. I really do. And I think they completely dropped. So, okay, so what did he learn?
So we agree John's wrong about Creed 2. I need to win.
Yes,
I'm
I've said
fucking
that.
dying.
Cut that, guys. Cut that out.
So what did he learn in Creed 3? What's the message for him in the third movie?
Creed 3 is dropping all of that. He's not just his fucking father's son. He's not just a fucking husband. He's not just some former world champ. It's about fully embracing everything that you are. The fact that he didn't tell Bianca shit about him. The fact that he verbalizes the fact that he's not fucking good with being able to accept everything he fucking feels. He's not able to be a complete person. And the Creed 3 ends with Adonis finally on the trunks. Because even the Creed legacy isn't the legacy he's trying to build. Now it's about being that complete person, building something, almost pulling a fucking Rocky in what he tried to do in Rocky 5. Now's when you fucking give back. Now's when you focus on your fucking family. Now's where it's more than just living up to expectations. It's about fucking completing
I'm just
real
looking at
life
the
shit.
at the time. So you are clearly on the record, Charlie, and I absolutely even if I disagree with some of your points, you made them very, very well.
Overall,
so
like a 2 out of 10. I think Creed 3 really falls. I'm just kidding. I'm just.
So just with the
The
time
arcs
being
are
what
great.
it is,
1 out of 10.
he's like, piece of shit. Clearly,
you guys
Charlie,
you guys peer pressured me into it. Fuck that movie.
Charlie's got a sweetheart deal with the Winkler camp.
Can I
All
say
of a
one
sudden,
more
he's
thing
like,
before we
he's
move
dri-
on?
No, I'm gonna give you the final fucking thoughts, Casey, because
So sweet.
this is your playground. All I'm gonna say is, for me as a viewer, I feel that Creed. Actually, I did have a small little game, but I'll do it on the outro. The Creed franchise doesn't exist without the Rocky franchise. So not to acknowledge it, it would be like us fucking saying, President's Day, 4th of July, we could just lose those and we can call it something else. You want to talk about disrespectful? I think that was the ultimate disrespect. Because look, everybody knows in the moment you could say something, oh, fuck that, I'm not even hungry and I'm not going to eat nothing. No, I don't want that jacket, I'm not cold. And then fast forward a little bit down the line, you're like, oh, and I'm fucking hungry too. So I think it was a piss poor excuse to not have him included. And forget about Stallone, God forgive me, for the fans' sake. Because people didn't show up just for Michael B. Jordan. And some people might not realize that. None of this is possible without Stallone. So that's my take on that. Creed 3 probably didn't have a fair chance with me, but I still think that my breakdown of it, if you eliminate all that stuff, it's only for me. At best, it's an okay boxing movie, and I love boxing movies. Again, for me, even above Rocky, who we know is right fucking there. Rocky's probably my number 2 favorite fight movie. My first is Cinderella Man.
And now you lost
fucking James
Casey.
J. Braddock.
Wow. Guys,
James
it's been
J.
really
Braddock.
fun. I'm going to go.
If New Jersey had its own money, Braddock would be on the fucking face of them.
Australian,
but also
Jersey,
when you're talking
JJ
about
Braddock. Got it.
wait, you're talking about likable.
I like that movie too, but come on, man.
Love it. It's, for me again, it's number one.
Oh,
Raging
it's
Bull.
just such a perfect takedown.
I love.
Oh, you got that motherfucker right as ribs,
Bull.
kid.
No, but I'm being serious. I love Raging Bull, but fucking LaMotta's a fucking cunt. He's like so hard to root for. It's more so you're like, who's gonna like? What is it gonna be? Life? Is it gonna be fucking Pesci?
That film is so much different. I don't even really consider it a boxing movie. I mean,
but they are.
Rocky's really not a boxing movie. It is what it is. I get.
And the last thing that I'll say about it, and then again we'll go back around the horn. For the directorial fucking debut, look, you know, Michael B. Jordan is a huge anime fan. Like that, there are a few things that I know about the cat. And there were those moments in there where you like, whoever conceived of this particular flick, the way that it was put together, you could tell this has anime all over.
This guy's a nerd.
Those fucking moments where like the crowd disappears and you got fences and you got cages and I cannot properly express how much I fucking hated it. I hated it. It was like two different
knew that was
movies. One came. Well, at one point you had the movie up until the beginning of the fight. I was grateful that fucking Tessa Thompson's music wasn't involved. I'm like, at least he has that going for him. But the second that you had like all of these kind of like imagery popping in, you know, if you had like little flashes to the point where like, you know, fucking in Fight Club, like, did I just see a dick? Because I was like, I'm the dick. I see a dick in here, and it's me because I'm sitting through this. I can't possibly have hated that shit more. But that being said, if it was a Rocky-less existence, for me, it's only an okay boxing movie. You guys can wrap it up.
So it's interesting that, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I saw it.
Time, dude.
I saw it on the IMAX screen, like the true IMAX screen in Lincoln Center, because I knew they actually shot it for IMAX cameras.
First sport film ever.
I will say, it looked gorgeous. Okay,
sure.
It looked incredible. Those moments, those fight moments you're talking about, it didn't fully work for me, but from a film perspective, film nerd perspective, I appreciate that he went for it. He took a big swing,
sure.
And I appreciate that. So I want to get that out of the way. But really quickly, just the movie itself, the exclusion of Rocky and all that kind of stuff really wasn't my biggest hang-up. All that did was exacerbate the issues that I already had with the movie itself. So I want to make that very clear, that the Rocky portion of it wasn't what really bothered me that much. It was the cherry on top. I just didn't think it was very good. Also, just two more things. One, the biggest staple of any Rocky movie, and this is in the Rocky franchise, is the training montage, right? This training montage was not very good. That's number one. Except when he was pulling the fucking plane, I was like, "That's cool." The rest of this didn't work.
Visual. Yeah.
That was one. The training montage wasn't good. And two, and this is now I'm going to go back to the exclusion of Rocky. If you are not going to really acknowledge him, if you're not going to say his name, if you're not going to use anything Rocky-centric the entire time, then in my opinion, you did not earn those last 8 bars of fanfare for Rocky at the end of the fight. I'm sorry. If you want to cut and make your own story, leave it out. Because at the apex of your film, you're still using Conti's music. I'm sorry, that is not okay.
The only thing like a rich person on horseback, like here's some crumbs.
The only thing I take umbrage is I fucking despise the and I apologize because it's not you, it's me, and it's what some other people have said. We keep talking about it like fucking Coogler was like, it'd be dope. Let's completely remove the element that made me so desperately want to tell this story in the fucking first place. This is Suits fucking us. This isn't the desire. But I agree.
But then don't use the music. Don't use it.
I'm not blaming Coogler. I'm not blaming Jordan. I'm not blaming.
I agree with the sentiment.
Any of the people involved.
The anime aspect, I love that they went for it as much as like we tried it didn't work. The last thing I want to say, because I've made my fucking opinion very clear, is actually two things. Right now, we're on the chase to 30 on Twitch. If you're on Twitch, we're trying to get 30 followers. It's a new platform for us that we're trying to fully embrace. If we get to 30, John and Casey, I'm more concerned about Casey because I'll just beg John until he cries. Will on Discord, we'll really start taking advantage of our Discord. Will you join us for over the course of a couple months? Let's watch Creed 1, 2, and 3 in a Discord with whoever wants to come. Would you be down for that if we hit 30
Are you kidding me?
on Twitch?
Can I just say one other thing? Let's hope and pray that these Creed movies, when these movies come out, I want them to lead people that haven't seen the Rockies back to the Rockies. Please.
I hope they do a mega box set again.
I hope to God that these movies don't just, oh, I know those Creed movies. Wait, there was something before it? Nah, I'm good. I hope that it leads them back because I think.
Can I go one step further?
It should.
Can I go one step further? I hope the next trilogy, this is my $2 pitch. I hope Amara in like the fucking Deaf Olympics, but you get Stallone back. You get Stallone back. Let's run it back.
Amara.
Let's pay this motherfucker what he deserves. Let's do like the Olympics with a fucking young deaf ass Amara whooping ass because that chick was fucking adorable.
Yeah, the only lighthearted part of the entire fucking movie. Can somebody crack a joke? Just one. Can we have a little bit of fun?
We need like
bring
a
in some Marvel people
character.
for like inappropriate jokes.
But once again, my pitch, let's pay Stallone what he deserves. Let's make sure that he's able to leave. He's able to properly get everything he wants because God knows we all love him.
Right.
But come on.
The rights, at least partial fucking rights. Again, the Secret Stash says
Stallone in the trailer.
It's time for Erwin Winkler to kick
You're watching it.
The fucking bucket. I'm sorry. Erwin, you gotta go.
But that's not to expound upon the politics of it, but the problem is like he just willed the rights to his kids. That's actually what flared up like a fucking proverbial.
And if this is a Wilpon situation, it's gonna get even worse. Do you think Steve Cohen can buy the rights to Rocky too? Is that possible?
I mean,
that'd be fucking sweet.
It's all possible, baby.
It would make the holdings that much more fucking appreciable. But people probably forget. But again, I did kick this off, so I'm gonna wrap it up again, guys. If you haven't seen Creed 3, even if you fucking hate it or if you love it as much as Charlie did, if you're someplace in the middle like Casey and myself, it's worth watching because people will be talking about it. Rocky Balboa, he's part of the zeitgeist, as Charlie likes to say. He's woven into the culture. If you're at the end of what used to be the fucking the great Hollywood fucking ride in Disney, you know you've made a character that's deserving of forever status. And Rocky Balboa has forever status. Adonis Creed, I'm not really that sure about, but that's my opinion. Make your own opinion. Go out and see it if you haven't. If you have seen it, obviously you agree with me. But in any case, Charlie, we have come to that point. If you watch this movie and you do not have a strong opinion one fucking way or another, you, just like that toy boy George Lucas, are a goddamn liar. Why? Because Han shot first.
That's right. And we got a graphic for it that I forgot about. My blood pressure's all up and shit.
Woo!
Salute.
Han shot first, baby.
I think everyone's seen it, by the way, because it's made a fajillion dollars. That doesn't speak to quality. See it again. But in a packed March, yeah, please see it again. I want that fucking spin-off Amara movie. I'll direct it. I will too. Like I'll fucking whatever. You two will have to lie to me.
For you. I'm like, yeah, I got this guy.
Even if some people don't like Creed, something that I know for a fact is divisive as shit. Hulu has sequelized one of the greatest movies of all time, and I'm of course talking about History of the World Part 2. I right out the gate First thing I want to ask my lovely panel tonight: how much on a scale of 1 to 10? Rank? No. What are your feelings on the first History of the World? History of the World Part 1 for me, before we'll kick it to Casey and then John. History of the World Part 1 was that first Mel Brooks movie I saw.
Wow.
And was able to, like, understand.
Really? It's your first one?
That was my very first one before even Spaceballs. So I think my recollection
History
is
of the World
imperfect.
broke Charlie's cherry.
Literally, History of the World is so good that I think at the time my like favorite comedy, I just threw out a window. Because I was just like, what is this garbage that I've been giggling at my whole life? And then it was Spaceballs, and then it was Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and then I literally then just got fully obsessed. It is a fun fact that my brother and I, our mother, her favorite comedy, certainly, maybe her favorite film is Young Frankenstein. That was the second black and white movie I ever watched willingly. It was Clerks and then that.
Mainly because Frau Blucher is based on our mother. Like she even has like the German dresses for no good reason. Like, what's going on here, Ma? What's your life?
Mel Brooks and his recurring gags are always welcome in my life. There is never a time where my day isn't improved with a Mel Brooks flick. This is the first time in a long time someone was like, they're doing History of the World Part 2 with like all of your favorite people. And my instant reaction was like, no, thank you. I've seen
some
the
of your
Spaceballs.
least favorite people.
I've seen Spaceballs the cartoon. Hard pass. And then I sat down and I have all sorts of feelings. But before we get to those feelings, John, what's your feelings on History of the World? What's your feelings on Mel? I'm sorry, I'm a liar. I was going to go to you last.
Yeah,
Casey.
Guest E
What are
first,
your-
dude.
First of all, hearing Charlie say, "No, I'm good." What the fuck is going on? I've never heard that in my life. Charlie's like, "Oh, you're gonna make Rocky 75 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 895,002." I'm
Bring
in.
on Fat April.
But somehow,
Can I
somehow,
pre-buy
History
it?
of the World is his line of demarcation. What the? fuck?
Well, I actually think Casey, and we're not going to let the spotlight leave you, but this is the complexity of Charlie. I always want more, unless it's something I really love. Like the minute you're like Back to the Future 4, I'm like, I'll chop your fucking head off, bitch. You will die in a fire.
I have to call bullshit. I apologize because I know we have decimated the time because Charlie, if Variety posted before this podcast was done, if Variety posted Spaceballs 2 about to drop, the search for more money, Charlie's online. He is online tonight and he is cosplaying somehow a character that appears in the movie that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's in pre-production. He's already at the AMC. Just be like, just waiting for 2.5 years.
He's got the foam. He's hot gluing. You're lying.
I think I'm more on brand because I heard History of the World Part 2. I said no thank you, and then I had the Hulu app open. And I was like, when are you going to reload?
He's like, let's start.
So
Is it midnight yet? Is it midnight yet?
I'm a hypocrite. Like, I thought it was well documented that I'm a fucking hypocrite. But I had existential dread. That's the difference. Ninja Turtles 4, excited. History of the World Part 2, I'm a scared little boy.
Wow.
I'm a complex
So
baby,
Casey,
baby.
Okay.
Did you jump right in feet first, or did you take our unlike our friend of the show Al? Did you jump to episode 2 like it was recommended? Or did you just say
no?
Let me begin at the beginning.
Because I view things as they were meant to be viewed. I guess that is my nerd way of putting it.
So you never turned on Hulu?
I said, fuck this, I'm not watching. I watched I watched 1 first. And unfortunately I think that was a mistake. But I'm sure we'll get to that. But just going back to Mel is, he's fucking Mel.
He's a god.
Love Mel.
He's a comedy god.
He can do pretty much no wrong. History of the World Part 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, I can quote it nonstop.
Love it.
D-Monet, count the money, all of it, okay? So when I heard that they were making this, normally, now you guys know me, normally I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know me, how I feel most of the time about legacy sequels and all that kind of stuff. Like, you got to prove it to me. But I heard History of the World Part 2 was coming out, and he was part of it. And I said, okay, I'm in. I'll watch it. I'm in. I think Mel knows what he wants, and I heard most of the people that are part of it, or some that I really, really like, some that I'm not that big on, but I'm a huge Nick Kroll guy. I like Ike. I don't remember how to
Barinholtz?
pronounce his last name. Yeah, I really like him. I heard some other people that are going to be part of it. I said, okay, this could work. And mixed bag would be the easiest way to put it. There's some stuff that's really legitimately funny, and we can talk about what and why. And spoiler alert, that's the reason why it's funny is kind of a problem of the whole series. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. Yeah, I was kind of excited, and I'm 3 episodes in, and I'm, it's all right. Yeah, I'll watch this a couple
Mixed
times,
bag
and then
is a- mixed bag, I think,
I'll
is-
never revisit it. Let's put it that way.
Well, we're not quite finished yet. So anyone who's unfamiliar, obviously the original History of the World Part 1, it's one of those things that you put out there. If you have never seen the movie, even if you're not, if you wouldn't describe yourselves as a Mel Brooks fan, the best part about the movie, the original movie, History of the World Part 1, which it was named decades ago, and Mel had no intention, I think, to actually make a Part 2. Which makes which is all part of the gag. Like, he's so smart, he works a gag into the fucking title of the flick. But that all being said, the movie is set up as a series of vignettes, some longer than others, and then they wrap it up. They kind of tie it with a very, very nice little bow. To me, I find it hilarious. However, people who I've introduced that movie to that weren't aware of it prior, they would have described it even then. And this is, to me, a comedy classic as hit or miss. Because from vignette to vignette, and I would put it also like as a non-list maker, that's one of those flicks I'm like, I like this, and then I like this, and so on and so forth. And then there are certain parts in the flick I'm like, okay, now I'll go take a piss. It's okay for me to step away from the screen.
Poor
The
Kate.
But
series-
John, is there
the series
in
the
that
same
film?
way.
Is there any vignette in History of Part 1 that you don't like, that you don't find funny?
Truth be told, it's and this is not a like an escape hatch. It's too late at this point. I've seen the movie so many times. It's like a comfort blanket. It's like a weighted blanket. The dogs get underneath it. Like, no socks are necessary. It's just a warm, fuzzy feeling. So even day one, the first time I ever saw, I'm like, that one didn't exactly work as well as maybe some of the others. Now I almost like to just appreciate them because of their. It's not the parts individual. It's the whole.
I just wanted a little bit of context before
yeah.
we get into it. I thought
I'm
yeah,
a
okay.
better
One-
I'm a better
one
example
second
for
though,
that,
Charlie,
John,
'cause
and then I'll let you finish
I
your
just
thought.
wanna
You go
I
first.
just wanna finish the thought really quickly because it'll get away from me very quickly. I'm a very old man. Watching the series, there was a larger. For me, I'm like, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. But the difference between like, oh, that skit was great, and the skits that didn't work for me are greater in this. And I think a lot of that has to do with a tremendously larger writing room. Mel Brooks never wrote anything completely on his own. A lot of people don't realize, Charlie, you brought up the Vaulted, and rightfully so, Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein was more fucking Gene Wilder than Mel Brooks, but there was a collaboration involved. So some writing rooms were bigger than others. However, they were never as big as the writing rooms that we're seeing on the credits of this show. And I think that has a large part to do with the unevenness of fucking vignette to vignette. Granted, they're smaller and they're multi-parts, which I don't always love. Give it to me all. I don't care if there's a whole episode that's just one thing or another. But that's my experience, and that's with one episode still to go. They're doing it on a nightly basis on Hulu, and then you can watch everything all together. Joker, welcome back, my brother. But Charlie, now take
just to piggyback because I don't want to free. So the caveman sketches in History of the World Part 1 took me about 10 years to love them.
Yeah.
So that
had you seen 2001, but when you saw the sketch already?
Yeah, maybe
Did you
not.
Really? You had to be like a fucking embryo.
Honestly, probably not. But by like the 5th viewing, I had because at that point I was obsessed, and it didn't save it for me, right? Like it still wound up being that segment where
they ripped off Mel Brooks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go fucking take a piss. And again, there's a lot of those sketches. Now, with that being said, on a long enough timeline, Mel does no wrong. I feel like if I went back and revisited Spaceballs, the cartoon, I'd be like, good enough. Because that is ultimately my main motto, and anyone who's looking to date me, keep that shit in mind. For me, the series was
what a
first
catch.
of all.
It's on his business cards, Casey.
The fact that they didn't call this History of the World 2 Part 1 bothers me. Like, there was a fucking weird title play. The fact that they just went like History of the World Part 2, like, eat a dick.
Or just
Someone
History of
write
the
a
World
joke.
Part 1, Part 2. Like, it's right there.
Oh my
It's
God,
right there.
I love that. Or like History of the World Part B. Like some horse shit that I'd be like, they didn't name it good. Also, just very important, because Ellis asked in the chat, which I always love questions from the chat, Mel Brooks very much still alive, and he's not allowed to pass away. I cannot handle that shit emotionally. My thing with the series is I didn't understand why they were doing it the way they were doing it. Why wasn't it just a movie with sketches? Why is it a series? If it is a series, it's going to be ongoing. So those questions to me, with episode 2, I think episode 2 is very, very funny. Episode 2, I was like giggling like a little schoolgirl. Episode 1 is one of the least funny things I've ever fucking seen. Then episode 3 settles into like, this sketch works, this doesn't. If I frame it like SNL, which feels like what they're trying to do almost, but just using historical shit that without being drunk history, which isn't a show I really appreciate. If I knew I was going to get 20 episodes, I think I'd be more excited for tomorrow when the next episode drops. Like, there's something about it being a bigger package than a movie, but smaller than episodic television, that I'm like, this fucking doesn't feel...
Well, you know what it is, and this is my best guess, because I did have that thought also. The second that you had carryover from one episode to another of like running gags, which I appreciate. Like, fucking give me a comedian that doesn't have a callback to wrap up their set, and this is just like a long fucking a set with costumes and literal sets. The second that they had from one episode to another, like continuing storylines, I was a little bit confused also. I would have personally preferred, not that anybody asked me, I would have preferred, okay, give me that whole spiel for the full fucking episode. Give me the Russian Revolution for the entire fucking episode, except, and it occurred to me, I don't know if you guys are, well, I know Casey's not. Charlie, are you caught up, so to speak? Do you see the episodes that would have dropped? Well, obviously we're doing this now, but okay, so we have one left. When I realized the interconnected nature, and it wasn't always obvious that certain things were going to carry over, then I understood why they're doing it the way they did. I don't mind
the film did, but it's
not to the very last.
So okay, so wait a minute. So you're saying that the structure will make more sense as we get
as you
closer
progress
to the end.
Yeah.
The more little fucking vignettes that you watch, you'll see the threads that connect them. And the issue, honestly, it's very easy to fucking be Monday morning quarterback with it when these are all like brilliant and very successful comedians and comedians. Is that would have worked better if you took. Obviously, Mel Brooks can do whatever he wants. I keep on waiting for him to show up too. I'm like, why isn't he here? This should be Mel Brooks playing this. That should be Mel Brooks.
And it's because he's made out of like tissue paper and hope at this point.
Oh yeah, just Play-Doh.
Oh
and
fuck,
matzo.
I love him, but he's
But
old.
he's very old. But to make that work better, you would have certain actors only play one
Agreed.
particular character because
There was a
ultimately
weird
that
decision
means
made.
You can't have a carryover, and I think honestly that has to do with the higher level decision making. Who's producing, whose names attached means that they're gonna have X amount of. There are some actors who we didn't see until like the last moment. Like, where the fuck have you been? This is one of my favorite motherfuckers out there.
It feels a little bit like a COVID show. It feels like they filmed in bubbles. So like some people were only available for like one afternoon.
That's
it was
possible.
I didn't
Or
understand the
just
frame.
the fact that there are
work.
such names involved, like Jack Black. I'll use as an example. Fucking Jack Black's bits are to me. I'm like, this is, I'm loving this, and also as a history appreciator,
Nerd.
I'm loving, I'm loving some of the things that are happening. But Jack Black, you only see him for one. I love the Jackass bits. I'm like, this is.
Oh my
this is
god,
clever. 'Cause they
dude!
did
Let me tell you, that was
awful-
that first time
awful
that they
things.
did that. I literally that was probably one of the few times that I laughed out loud, just because you saw him, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, he's gonna do a thing, that's funny, and then they cut back to him again, and you hear the fucking music. I was like, that's
That-
funny.
Well
But
done.
I
The
think the
fucking-
issue is that it's
The
so
second-
like it's. I guess all comedy can be hit or miss. Like it is what it is, right? Not everything is gonna hit. That's fine. But I think the issue is that there are at least 3 episodes in. There are so many, in my opinion, misses that it's.
Okay.
I'm feeling a little bit of like, all right, can we move on?
Yeah.
Like this is, can we get to
That's
something better? And then
If
something
they're-
will come up.
If they're longer, that becomes tough. You're like, okay, I get it. But that's the great thing about Hulu, baby. Like, I'll give you one. And again, this is spoiler warning also. And Casey, you might not have gotten here. I'll be general about it. There's
And
a
if so,
Beatles
tough
bit.
shit. I already put
Go,
up the
trust
alarm.
me, I'll
You're
be okay.
always so needy.
I'll live, please.
There's a Beatles bit and it really falls flat for me. Now the thing about it though is, I'm not a huge Beatles guy.
Yeah.
Starting to appreciate some of the individual entries, but this is the tough pill to swallow in this instance, guys. Not every one of these bits are for us.
Yeah.
There are some bits that they put together.
that's why
that
they're
they
bad.
filmed, that they fucking put. Well, yeah, for us. But they're like, look, if you get this, you're gonna love it. And we sometimes like referring to people like there are flicks, there are shows, there's music, there's whatever books. I'll love it, and I'll still only recommend it to certain people.
Yeah.
Like Casey's gonna love this. Charlie will fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And
But you know what, John? I think the issue is that all 3 of us are Mel Brooks guys, right?
Sure.
We're in. You say Mel, we're in. This show should be for us.
Yeah.
It should be. And the
But-
fact that
Not
some-
every scene. Not every vignette.
Yeah,
There's
but-
gonna be some that are
it's
just,
that's fine. That's fine. If the type of
if it
comedy
was
doesn't quite
all
work,
Mel
not
Brooks,
funny is
if
not
his
funny.
Fingerprints.
Not funny is not funny.
I think
Let
what
me ask you
Casey's
this.
saying,
Let me ask you this.
what
Have you
Casey's
ever
saying
been
is there were
watching
too
something
many
you're like-
women in the writers' room. There were too many women in the scenes. Casey is saying very distinctly and definitively.
Thank you for joining
yeah,
us,
that,
folks.
that,
We're
that,
with
that,
you.
that is exactly what I'm
Casey
saying.
hates
Yeah.
women.
Yeah, that's
He
it.
hates them.
Yeah. Awful. Awful. Except for the one that walked right by me before. She was
Yeah,
cute.
go ahead,
She's fine.
Casey. Take a look at that lease real quick, and then we'll give plenty of time for the readjustment. Look, but what I'm gonna say is this: when they're putting it together again, there are so many writers that are involved. You can almost kind of fucking tell who certain things are for.
Mm-hmm.
What group is being spoken to at this point? And I don't begrudge. I'm like, knock yourself out. Mainly because of the way that this show is put together. It's gonna be over in a minute. Maybe the next one will be that much. Will be more for me per se. I don't really think there's any like complete stinkers. There are just some that don't particularly make me laugh, which is okay.
I think
and that's where I disagree with you.
Right around the corner.
That's where I disagree with you. I think there are some really big stinkers.
Okay. That's fair.
Casey's
Which is unfortunate.
Casey's playing both sides of the Rivera fence tonight. He just always has to break one of our hearts real definitively, but this time he's breaking John's. Thus, I love you again, Casey.
I'm nothing if not honest, fellas. You know
Casey,
that.
can I ask you an interesting question, and then I'll kick it to you, John?
Please.
If History of the World Part 2, or Part 2, if it were a YouTube show, and if it was just individual segments, so if it wasn't structured as a show, History of the World Part 2, the channel, and you're like, oh, Revolution, Part 1, this, that. I personally am enough of a YouTube guy, that shit would have worked. What? I would have absolutely watched it out of order. I would have like skipped the shit that I didn't think I was interested in, or begrudgingly watched it after. For me, this is the first time in a long time, and maybe it's because it's how I've watched SNL the last few years. I almost wish I could just fucking cherry pick segments, because at this point I know which segments I'm not going to fucking
That's
like.
really
I actually
interesting.
think it would have, speaking to John's point, that maybe it's like new Coke. They're going for a new fucking audience. Give it to us in a newish format. Don't put it on fucking TikTok, because I don't know how to work it. But like something like YouTube, I can wrap my dumb head around. I wonder if it was presented. It's already not a movie, not really a show, certainly not a half-hour show.
Well,
what if it was presented kind of sketch at a time?
It's a sketch show, and you name dropped SNL, and I think it's appropriate because very, very soon we're going to have these are just going to be like, oh, did you see the Jesus bit? Oh, did you fucking see the Curb Your Enthusiasm bit? Like, and that's how this very quickly is going to be referred to as. And I think that that's the 2023 of it all. Like, that's kind of just where we are with a lot of our entertainment delivery systems. But I didn't sit down watching thinking SNL, and you name dropped them early as well. You thunder stealing son of a bitch. No, for me it felt more like Drunk History. It really did, in both of the way that it was shot, the way that it was framed, and in the timed segments of it. It really did feel like Drunk History. Now, Drunk History, I like. I'm a fan of that show, and they haven't made a new one in a minute. But those are also, you can call them uneven, I guess, where there are some, like, I'll definitely go back and rewatch this particular one or that particular one.
Yeah, but you know what the difference is, though, John?
Stop thinking about it episodically. I don't think
they
about
don't
it
make
like
us wait for their second and third punchline. They tell their story, and then we move on to something else. I almost think like we have something. The curb one. Now we're going to talk about it a little bit. Woo! It's fucking funny, okay? And then they stop.
Inspired.
And then they go to something else that's really not funny.
But
and you're like,
that's my. If I have to have an issue,
the structure
with it,
is not. It's not
issue.
good. The reason that the movie works.
The curb bit, beginning to end. I don't care if it's a whole episode or if it's half of an episode or whatever. That's how I would prefer it.
Right. The reason that the movie works is, one, it's because it's just better and funny. Okay.
It's just Mel.
It's
right.
The CREEDIII of movies.
Awesome. Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. Okay. You know what, guys? I just can't do this anymore. I gotta go. They segmented their stuff, but if I'm remembering, who knows? It's been a while since I've watched it from start to finish.
It's been a while.
You tell a story, then hey, we're gonna go to Moses on top of the mountain, and now we're in Rome. And we're going to tell this silly story. And now we're in France. It's not we're in France, we're in Rome, we're in the cave. Oh, we're back in Rome. Oh, we're back in the cave. And now where are we going?
You know what it was?
I would not have done it that way.
I just watched the movie. There's way more itty bitty baby bits.
Yeah, which are really fucking funny.
Command. Oh fuck. This show has none of that because I guess they couldn't afford it time-wise.
If it wasn't an itty-bitty baby bit, the joke would have gotten stale too quickly.
Also
you know
true.
what I mean? There are some that are saying like, okay, here's the punchline.
I could
That's
use
it.
more
no
Baby Bell
follow-up
jokes
needed, or that we can fucking come up with that were worth their salt.
Well, how about
There's a
this?
couple Jesus
I
gags.
mean, look, we love Kroll, right? We love him. I love him. I know
Sure.
you do, Charlie. I think you do too, right?
So I fucking adore him.
I've never anything I've ever seen him do, whether it's Big Mouth or the Kroll show, his stand-up stuff. I always find him funny. This is the first time that I'm seeing him in skits, and I'm like, did he write this? Are we sure he wrote? Because it's not funny, and I don't want to be so harsh. But it's I'm surprised.
I wouldn't speak that harshly on it. I will say this. Nick, you gotta have more voices, bro. Like
he
there
sounds
are
like
voices.
Coach Steve.
He sounds like Coach Steve. He also sounds like fucking Gil Faizon. I'm like, is he playing this like a Gil Faizon ancestor?
Yeah, I think Big Mouth ruined his idea of voices because he's like, I've used so many, I don't know where else to go.
This is where I'm a piece of shit. I was like, Coach Steve voice. Guys, let's wrap up the segment on this. It's a very important question. It's a very, very important question for me. Bring on History of the World Part 3. I think they can use this as a springboard to tighten up, to clean up. I don't think that this concept is not worthy of moving on. Although, again, maybe a smaller writer's room. We're going to have Casey finish it up. John, what do you think? Do you want more at this point, or have they burned all your goodwill?
No, wrap it up. Whatever the original intention was, it's there. It exists. No need to kind of continue to beat. Maybe not a dead horse, but definitely like a limp, lame one. Put him out to pasture. Let him eat grass and smash the mares and wrap it up. Because again, my boy Mel, God bless him. I hope he lives forever. But if he only has X amount of time, X amount of projects left in front, revisiting this one shouldn't be one of them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't say definitively. But based on what I've seen so far, I'm gonna finish it.
Me too.
But I think I'm good. I'm good.
This isn't Dracula dead and loving it.
Movie reviews.
I'm good.
I want you to do movie reviews, and that's one of the options.
I'm good. Yeah, that's a
Instead
great
of thumbs
idea.
up, thumbs down. You see
Instead of like the who was the critic? It stinks. I'll just be like, I'm good. I'm good.
Dynamite.
What'd you think about Dora versus the Machines? I'm good. Just like I don't even want to talk about it. I'm good. All right, so the future seems to lie in your hands as opposed to Creed, where even those of us that didn't love it think it's worth watching to develop an opinion. I do think ultimately, whichever one of us you trust, none of us are like, it's fucking the best. If you haven't seen History of the World Part 1, though, that's probably a better expenditure of your time. Let's pay some of these glorious bills. The good news, ladies and gentlemen, is today we are brought to you by Raycon's newest headphones, the USComics exclusive. You send me $100, I'll send you a $20 pair of headphones with a sticker on it. That is our brand new promotion. Just write to me, none to John.
Nor do I remember signing any kind of agreements.
Oh, that's good, because we do have agreements. Because he's good. He's good. Because the good news for you beautiful people is we are unlike other pods who sell out for any random brand that's willing to pay. No. Today we are once again brought to you by one of our absolute favorite bands, and that, of course, is Bad Mary. You heard them during the intro. You're going to hear them again at the end of the show. If you're wondering where else you can catch their act, you can follow them over at Bad Mary Band across all social media platforms. You can support them over on patreon.com/Bad Mary Band. You can stay up to date at badmary.com for merch and upcoming performances, including their tour to Japan that's coming up. But my absolute favorite part is their entire discography is available on all music streaming services.
Damn straight. And then that just leaves one question. Where we drop in with Sergeant Finesse. You can find him gaming on Facebook, of course. He is also fucking checking out the new waters over on kick.com, multiple streams every day, outstanding video game content, supporter games, co-streams, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today when the Sarge is on deck. You salute. Anyways, that kind of leaves up with the most fucking important thing to be going on in my life, at least since the last 2 minutes when Charlie disagreed with me for the 50th fucking time this episode. Just got to show off for the company. Some things never change. So I
Look
would
at
have
the
friends
sweater.
come
He's
over.
so hot.
Charlie.
It is getting hot in here. I'm not gonna lie.
I would have friends over and little 3rd, 4th grade Charlie would be like, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm like, Charlie, I got friends over. Get the fuck out. And Charlie would be like, John farts in his sleep. Charlie just loves showing off for my boys.
True.
But that
It
all
worked,
being
too.
said, it really does work, son of a bitch. Something came across my personal news feed that was both shocking, exciting, and titillating all at once. Charlie, I know you're going to be more familiar than not, but Casey, does the name Brian Michael Bendis hold any importance to you?
I can tell you, it does not.
It's fair. It's fair because this is the type of guy.
I'm good.
Who, no need to apologize. This is the kind of guy. If he was a chef, he would have the type of kitchen that did not have the large voyeur window built into the wall. Right? He's the type of cat that sits back. He does his job. Then he sits back in the cut and he just watches everybody appreciate his work. Brian Michael Bendis is one of the, not just the longest, most hyphenated fucking names in the game. He's one of the most accomplished. He has worked for all the bigs. He's worked for Marvel. He's worked for DC. He has his own fucking imprint. But he's also, as well as, in essence, worked for every fucking single independent comic company that exists out there. And his work is always stellar. Now, he's a comic book writer by trade. You are familiar with his work, though, Casey. If you have ever watched a fucking Marvel flick, if you've ever watched a fucking superhero played a superhero video game.
What's Marvel exactly? What is that?
They're this company that they just keep on fucking trucking along and just putting stuff out every fucking day.
Just want to make sure.
I like to equate them to the they're like the school lunch cafeteria. There's always something going to be coming out. It's just some days it's like Pizza Fridays, some days it's Twin Taco Days, some days it's meatloaf. You're gonna get something, come hell or high water. But Brian Michael Bendis, on top of being an unbelievable artist by artist I mean writer. He's also bald as fuck, so he's just kind of like he disappears into the distance of middle-aged men. He's award-winning. He's got multiple Eisner Awards. He's got Wizard Magazine Awards, Comic Buyer's Guide Awards, E3, People's Choice. He's got an Inkpot Award sitting up on the shelf. He's actually won more than he's lost as far as the nominations. He's only been nominated for 4 awards that he didn't fucking win. He's the real deal. Now, the thing about people like this in the arts, and I don't care which arts you are talking about, far more interesting sometimes are the behind-the-scenes hijinks comparative to what's been put out there into the world. A lot of times you don't hear about those behind the... Here's a prime example. One of the best things, and where it is now, it's Paramount Plus maybe? The making of The Godfather is such an outstanding entertainment that it, to me, actual rivals the fucking thing that they're talking about making. The making of... help me out, Casey. Is that on Paramount Plus? Is it on...
I believe it's Paramount Plus. The Offer?
It's Paramount Plus. Perfect.
Yeah,
The
I believe so.
Thank you very much. It's so outstanding. Again, it rivals The Godfather, and I have Godfather way, way, way on the top of the mountain, but it's just outstanding. Brian Michael Bendis has such a type of endeavor going on. So under his own banner, I'm going to put it up for you guys too. He kind of talks about his behind-the-scenes workings. Now, for him, obviously, his world predominantly is the comic book world. But he has been tapped by Hollywood on multiple occasions. obviously, again, the video game world and the streamers and what have you, like his own creations have been brought to life in that way. But he went out and he put in strip form, and it's been since been collected, his adventures in Hollywood land. And they're the type of stories that you would never have fucking seen coming. He's coming back with another such output, but he is talking about a very, very specific experience because he was so beloved in the comic book world. When the most recent comic book to make the leap to the stage in musical form, yes, that is an actual thing. Comic books are an American art form, as are musicals. So is jazz, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, and baseball. Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was an actual fucking thing. And Brian Michael Bendis had a lot to do with it. He is going into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and the bolts, the fucking down and dirty of it all, of this unmitigated absolute fucking disaster of a shit show, which was also a musical. Yeah, you too, Joker. We'll talk during the week, brother. We'll get set up for next week. Guys, don't forget, we're going to have Joker stream with us here live next week. So get ready for it. Get ready for it. Going to be a good one. Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark was a fucking nightmare. Brian Michael Bendis in animated form is going to tell us all about what the fuck. What happened? How the hell did things go so bad over there? So again, as our guest, Casey, we're going to take it to you. What were your first impressions? I mean, again, with the theater background that we all share, with all the fucking disasters that were coming to light seemingly on a daily basis, what was your first impression? Actually, I'll ask you this. Did you ever have the bad luck to actually see it on stage?
You know, I didn't. As sad as that is, I like.
Thank the spider goddess that you didn't, my
I
friend.
always had the morbid curiosity, but I think when it was up, I was real broke. And I was like, if I'm gonna go see something, it's gonna be because I need to go see it. So I never got the chance, but obviously, being connected to the theater world and knowing what's going on, I know all the stories, all the plummets from the heavens of all the poor
all the
Spider-Men.
spiders just falling out of the sky like so many biblical frogs.
It's almost it's kind of unbelievable that this happened. Like, there are shows that come to Broadway and are a fucking nightmare. We all know it.
Sure.
Like, things that they're open for a week and then they go, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So it happens, but there was something so epically awful. Epically.
It was also in previews for like 12 years.
Yeah, because it was.
Poor Dustin.
Oh, that's right. I remember. I remember when my brother went to go see that. He saw it for free though, so it's okay.
I don't know, like.
Yeah, but he also saw
he
like
may not have
deaths.
paid money, but it wasn't for free.
That's true.
I feel like people intentionally went to see Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark for the same reason that people, I'm convinced, go to NASCAR races. They're just waiting for the next fucking crash.
The next crash.
You sick sons of bitches.
If they brought back Turn Off the Dark now that I'm an adult with money, I would 100% go. That's like...
Charlie, I'm with you. I'd go too.
I'd
go too.
I'd go. I would buy like the plastic mask of this version of Green Goblin. I would cheer when people broke their legs. It would be a fucking blast. I hunted out, as an adult, relatively recently, I found on YouTube, like the full show with a shaky ass camera, and I watched the whole thing.
You know why it was shaking?
Twice.
It was probably being held by somebody playing Spider, like one of the 80s Spider-Men, and that was falling out of the sky.
There is an amazing YouTube documentary that's like 3 hours long about, I know a gross amount about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Well, as that gross
about to learn
may have
more.
fucking taken over your brain, you are going to learn far, far more. I'm so fucking excited. Again, if you guys aren't familiar with that original series, it has been collected. Actually, Dark Horse is going to be putting out a new bound version of it, which is outstanding. Because the new one is coming out on his website again under his own banner, and it's going to be coming out actually in the History of the World Part 2 format, where you're like just getting dribs and drabs of it. But now that we don't have Dilbert to worry about anymore, I'm actually super excited to have a daily reader again. I am
How
so
topical of you.
fascinated. Well, that's what I like to do, Casey. That's
Well
what I like
played.
to do.
Wow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But I'm just like super fucking excited about it. Now the funny thing is, again, we all know it was an absolute unmitigated disaster. It fucking lasted. It didn't last as long as the first snowfall here in the New York area, and rightfully so, because their insurance premiums must have been insane. But just the fact of Spider-Man having a musical and then grossly changing almost everything about the character to the point where he was really unrecognizable. A lot of people will be shocked to find out how many Broadway musicals actually kind of began their lives as comic books. Of course, we all know, Superman, of course, the first and greatest to ever do the thing. He's got possibilities. People only know shit from the Superman musical because of a butter commercial, but that's okay. That's okay. Who else?
That's
Who
the
else?
oldest thing you've ever said on the show.
I disagree because I've got some powder in the. We'll leave that. We'll leave that alone. Guys, what else?
Well, it's funny, John, when you told me that this is like what we were going to talk about, and I really wasn't sure, because I wasn't aware of this guy's work or whatever, and you had kind of come up the idea of like comic books and musicals and stuff, and the only thing that I could think of, even though it's not really a direct correlation, but it's the only character that I could think of that was in comic books and a musical, is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
True.
How about that? Look at me! I'm the movie guy,
certain,
and I'm coming up with comic book
pathways. I mean, fucking
Nerd.
Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown has had more musicals than Sherlock Holmes, which
shit. Yeah,
doesn't
but don't
really
see Dog
seem
Sees
right
God.
to me.
That'll change everything for you.
Guys, Be More Chill started as a fucking graphic novel. And there are certain musicals that like the younger set that they lean into. Fun Home started off as a fucking.
Oh, that's a good point.
As a graphic novel. So this isn't like this is uncharted waters, so to speak. It's the level of disaster that Spider-Man fucking was. That's really kind of unique. But again, as the theater nerds that we all are, I'll start first to give you guys a little mental time. There are musicals, and like the Brian Michael Bendis of it all, where it's going the other way around, right? It's going from the stage into the comic book spectrum, and immediately my little feverish, nerdy brain started fucking kind of churning and bubbling and burning, and I wanted to. There are certain musicals that I would love to see on stage. Now, full disclosure, doing a little hope, like, this would be great. Oh, fuck, they made one of these? You gotta be kidding me. Oh, they made one of these too? Holy shit. But there was one that does not exist as of yet, because all people love to do, Casey, if you didn't know, they love to steal my ideas, especially from this show. We've got a list going, motherfuckers, so watch yourself. Guys, tell me that you wouldn't read the shit out of a Bat Boy comic book. Oh my god, bro.
God.
It is rife. It is ready.
Wait, do you think, would he show up like in DC Comics too? Like he like talk to Batman? Would there be a
That'd be
crossover?
cool.
Would that be like a thing? And then Bat is there, and we just do
where
Bat
Batmite exists. Yeah, Bat Boy could definitely, and usually it would be Joker trying to diss Robin by calling him Bat Boy, but to have actual Bat Boy with his little ears and sharp fangs straight off the fucking presses of like what those trash magazines are when you're online at the supermarket. Fucking again, and this is a little public service announcement, and I realize that not everybody out there is a musical fan. They might think they are, but they really are at heart. Fucking Bat Boy the musical is one of the best things to ever exist. It is just so much fun. Literally ripped from the fucking headlines. It's like it was a meta musical before we even knew what meta was, and before Facebook and Instagram owned that shit. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. We'll go back way around the horn because Charlie knows how to do his homework. Charlie, what's a musical you want to see in comic book form?
I'm good. We don't need to ruin. We don't need to ruin comics. You know,
Charlie now owes Casey money.
Yeah.
That is
I think I had that
copyright Casey
trademark,
Manning.
but it was so good that I'm okay with it.
He did
Oh
it.
my God.
He definitely did it justice. He definitely did it justice.
I do not need Usnavi to fucking fight crime
Well,
in
no, see,
the Heights. I don't.
You are trapped. You are trapped in the
Oh my
capes
God.
and tights world.
No, I have a
of
real
comics
answer.
because there are.
I have a real answer. I have always wanted like the fictionalized Chasing Amy comic. I have desperately wanted to find
a chick comic. You want a chick comic?
How dare you? First of all, don't assume anything.
Super easy.
Fair enough. I always wanted a chick comic that I could really dive into, and like Archie never fucking worked for me, and I kind of identify it as such. For me, a show that John introduced me to called Murder Ballad, which is like it's like a warning story about like how easily shit could fucking go left if you make a couple bad decisions. I would
not
love
staying
that.
in your fucking lane. Don't be a 4 going after a hard 12 because nothing good comes out of it.
Yep. And also, like, for me, the big warning of this musical, the musical is fucking awesome. The music is fucking awesome. I really love Murder Ballad. But for me, there's like an early opportunity where this guy meets this mess and he's like, no, thank you. I'm not going to I'm good. And instead, he doubles back and marries that bitch. Spoiler alert. And his whole life is fucked up. You fucked up, hey Ron. I would love that in comic book form, like in a black and white indie comic style. It's fucking awesome. There's like rock
an early
musicians
TMNT comic, just like super
fuck yes,
bloody. And,
Mirage.
yeah,
Yes, that's the fucking show ends with again someone just being like, "We told you someone was gonna fucking die." I'm not gonna spoil that, but
Casey,
it's fucking awesome.
You're not obligated to read it. You are obligated to go see its adaptation when it hits the movie theaters. But do you have one for us? A musical that you want to see as a comic book one day?
I think I might have.
Charlie and I are obligated. Oh shit!
I've got two, but it's kind of cheating because they both come from books. I think there's one staring us in the face, and it's Toxic Avenger. So there's a film, an 80s film. They make it into a musical, and now it's right there. I don't see why it hasn't happened yet.
So what's fun about like
Thank you.
when IP makes the leap to the stage, much like fucking Spiderman Turn of the Dark, sometimes it plummets back down to the boards. But they will make changes, none so large as the changes that are made, and not again to get too far away from the subject matter. I am desperate to know by the man himself how the fuck they made these gross, ridiculous changes to establish characters. For what reason? There was no point. There was no point to make the changes that they made. And this is Julie Taymor that originally was fucking on this project and ended up bouncing because even she was like, "This sucks. This is so bad," that she walked away. But there are changes that are sometimes made on the stage that carry over, that end up enriching source material, and that deserves to be kind of told in more formats to reach a wider audience. So no, I think you're right on it. What was the second one?
And the second one also, originally a novel, and then it's been made into countless numbers of films and the most successful Broadway show of all time. I'd fuck with a Phantom graphic novel. That'd be cool.
Phantom of the Opera.
It would have. It'd have to be a graphic novel. I think that'd be really
sure.
fucking cool.
So the Phantom of the Opera is almost always left off of that laundry list of the Universal monsters that people have been, obviously Universal more than most, but they have been desperate to relaunch kind of like a collective universe of those characters where you could lean into them and I'll tell you the truth, maybe episodically, that's the fucking best way to do it, because certainly their cinematic attempts to do so have fallen flat on this fucking face.
I mean, think of how many stories. How many stories could you tell about Eric? Like leading up to
of course
his childhood, getting there, getting to the basement of the opera house, and then all the shit with Christine, and you can change a lot. Like
just
we've changed everything anyway.
To your own demise.
Yeah,
we
man.
know that story.
I think that would be really fucking
absolutely, cool. Absolutely. Charlie, do you have another one back pocketed?
No, but apparently there is a Phantom of the Opera graphic novel.
Really?
Is it an adaptation of the original?
Based on Andrew Lloyd Webber's
itself?
musical, yeah.
You know what? Now that you say it out loud, I am not at all surprised. Andrew Lloyd Webber is such a fucking... even more than he's a thief who steals from himself.
$30, I'm just going to buy it.
He may be the biggest sellout
Let me
ever.
borrow it when you're done.
Looks fucking terrible, but...
That's going to be Casey's thank you gift.
Dude, it has 5 stars on Amazon.
Oh, then it has to be true.
Yeah, because it was fucking rated...
by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It was rated by Andrew Lloyd Webber. I have one ready to go, Charlie.
I have a redemption one if you want me to go first, because mine's a little stupid. Redemption one? But I mean it.
Sure.
I actually think, and I know this is probably sacrilege, I actually think the story, and I apologize, the story of Cats seems interesting to me. I know the movie was like the worst thing ever, and I would never pay to see that musical, but like, isn't that story ultimately about like cats getting souls or some shit?
The heavyweight champion of crazy ass comments that Charlie has made today that I disagree with. It had been Adonis Creed is a very interesting character. That was like carrying the belt, was doing commercials, was not using condominiums.
The most successful sports of all time.
Cats is an interesting story. Just came out of nowhere. Cats is an interesting story. Got on
T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot is somewhere up in heaven, being like, "Finally,
he's like,
somebody agrees with me."
Cats, the fucking the middle of the book fold out will just be a giant close up of the cat's asshole,
butthole,
and it'll be a mirror because it will have meant that you as an individual bought this comic. You're like, "Whoa, look at the cat's asshole," and you're just looking at a little reflection of yourself. Woo! That didn't take too long. No, you know which one I would really absolutely love to see? Avenue Q. In comic book form.
Yeah, okay.
Because you take those puppets and you turn those puppets into like the full human size run around versions, which are frankly fucking the scariest thing that I've ever seen. They always have the giant flappy mouths, and like I could definitely get swallowed by 2 bites with that. Dustin checking in. How about a graphic novel of a Bronx Tale?
Hell yeah.
That's pretty fucking good.
Hell yeah.
And truth be told, that comic books might be the only venue that Chaz Palminteri has not poured his content out. If Chaz is insisting on drawing, coloring, and lettering himself, which he might, then yeah, I'm absolutely all into it. You know, little fucking what's his face has plenty of stories, but yeah, Avenue Q could be. It's a fucking monster story. It would be fucking dynamite.
Every issue is just a life lesson. What the internet's for.
Every issue is brought to you by a particular letter and number.
Yes. When you could be as loud as you want.
You're going to suck this dry for all it possibly is, right? You're just going to keep rolling them out.
Otherwise, what is the fucking point?
John MCU Rivera. Got it.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears, my brother. In any case, I'm very, very much looking forward to this Brian Michael Bendis newest endeavor. He has literally never done me wrong, even with characters that he has worked with that I wasn't a particular fan of. It was probably his first few touches, his first few bites at the apple of Spider-Man, sincerely, that really kind of got me on board. Charlie has still not come around, so maybe we'll shoot him some BRB's versions of Spider-Man to warm him up. But I'm looking forward to this.
I like Spider-Man when he's a girl or a
book.
black Puerto Rican. It's just when it's Peter that I'm.
You love Peters, don't lie. Anyway,
that's another dick
that
joke.
Is
this kid's
that is a
desperate
double
to land the cock
XL
jokes.
episode. Charlie is desperate to keep it going, but we have, I think, gone long enough. Guys, thank you so much. Casey, obviously, as always, you are an excellent, excellent guest. This time, maybe the first, hopefully not the last, actual cosplaying for the appearance. If you're listening to this rather than watching, you are missing one of the most glorious sweaters to have ever graced the humble pages of US Comics Cast. But again, just fucking outstanding. I think all that's really left is for Charlie to tell the good folks how we wrap up each and every episode of US Comics Cast. Would you?
There's only a few simple steps. First, you gotta turn the power on. Then you gotta turn the volume up. Then you gotta tune Bad Mary and open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Save my space girl! We out!
It is the morning now. The world did not come down. We've gotta face the shit we've done. No more Facebook likes, no more instant spite. I've gotta face what